Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Customs, and today I'm sharing with you a DXA Design Savage Land Storm garage kit that I painted up for somebody and went the extra mile of creating a clear resin water base for her that she looks like she's walking in water. So we're going to get in a little bit closer, we'll kind of explain it all, but it's really tricky, this one. It was a lot of research, a lot of, watching YouTube videos, studying stuff, calling Smooth on to how to create this water base and everything, and it was just, yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was a good learning curve too, able to actually kind of learn and see what you can do, what you can't do. I'm not sure yet if we're going to be doing any more versions of her, but at least this one is done. So we'll kind of get in a little bit closer and we'll go over everything. Alright, so you can see this is her basic paint up. The outfit's a little bit darker green. If you saw my previous videos, you can see all the versions of Storms that I painted up. White hair, jewelry went red on this one. The beads are a little bit different on this one. They wanted more of reds and blacks and stuff to go with the gems. You can see with the feathers and everything. Now this isn't actually changeable legs because of she's embedded into the clear water base now. So it's just this is the loincloth version, so you can't really swap it all out and take the leg off, of course. But really great statue. Sheridan did a great job sculpting it. There's a nice booty shot for you guys. So pretty much straightforward like previous Storms. Now on the base, this is what makes this one really different and a lot of work. So you can pretty much see it's a clear water base. What they wanted was, they wanted her kind of walking in water, and she wanted it more like a lagoon or like that Mediterranean like water where you see like the bluish green. And this was really like a major learning curve for me to try to get this done. So what I had to do was design a wall, basically a metal wall going around a piece of wood with some foam core underneath of it. I had to spray it down with mold release, and then I had to kind of figure out, what kind of clear resin, how is this going to be done? Because if she is walking in a pool and you're not seeing the sides, you can get other types of resins that cure faster, that won't react to paint, and you could do it in layers. But because this is being done in one solid piece here and a solid piece here, the problem is it's so big that I wouldn't have been able to do regular resin that cures in has a pot life of 10 minutes, because I never would have mixed it up in time, got all the air out, all the bubbles, pour it in here, and mix it with the color, and be able to get this in here without it creating bubbles all over the place. Maybe people who have done this before and they have a lot more experience probably could have, but this is kind of one of the first times I've ever done this, and I kind of just needed something where I know I can mix it up and do it in enough time where I don't run into an issue. So we got the slower setting resin, which takes I think it's 2 hours of pot life and 48 hours to cure. So it gave me more time to actually sit there and put in some of the dye, mix it in. I had to put it in a vacuum chamber, get all the bubbles out, pour it in slow, work out there, and then when I poured this in, there was a little bit of bubbling around here and there, so I had to pop it. Now this stuff is very dangerous. You have to wear long sleeves, you have to wear a mask, you have to wear rubber gloves. So I was in 90-degree weather garage, pretty much mixing this stuff up with a fan, dripping sweat, and mixing all this stuff to get into there and getting all these bubbles out. And then once it was done, I pretty much left it in the garage. I had the fan going for 2 days, and I never stepped foot in the garage just to make sure all the fumes were out, make sure I got everything done, and it worked out pretty cool. Now, once I pretty much got all that done, I popped it out of the mold. So there was a little bit of reaction with some of the paints in these areas, so you could kind of see. But before we go down on the side view, we're going to stay up front to kind of explain how I did the waves. So, there's not much I could be done about that, but I think some of the effects actually worked out pretty cool with this. So you can kind of see how, you see her feet underneath, and you can see a little bubbling, but you can see on the side how some bubbling happened, because I guess what happened is the resin sort of reacted to a lot of the paints because it cures so long. Faster set of resin probably would have went in, cured, and wouldn't have an issue, but this is kind of this is the way it worked out. Now you're probably wondering, how did I get these waves done, around her feet? Because there's no way the clear resin would have done that, because you could see it's all smooth around these areas. So what that stuff is, it's called AK Interactive Water Effects. It's like a gel, And what it is it looks like and it smells like almost Elmer's glue, but it's kind of like an acrylic. And what you do is you sort of thin it down and you kind of paint it on the item and you build it up in layers. So I created these little ripples going around there, and it makes it look like she's kind of, you know, going there. Of course, you could go really crazy and you can make this really wavy and ripples, but the client really wanted to be able to see everything around the base and make it nice and, you know, steady, clear water and stuff. So her feet got a little bit of movement, but the rest of the item is kind of a little bit steady, as you can see. There was a little bit of reaction over here with the feet, but because we added these ripples around there, it sort of hides it, and it makes life a little bit easier. So it's a really cool item, but yes, it is a lot of work. It is very potent chemicals, and it is very expensive. This clear resin is not cheap. It's probably like around 200 plus shipping for a gallon kit. This could probably do maybe 2 bases of that kit, so it's very tricky on that sense. But a really cool idea. I know I like what the client was going for, but like I said, it's one of those things where it's so thick in here that to try to do layers and actually mix up the correct color on each layer would be very difficult, because putting just a very, very tiny drop of like dye, like just a little bit of the blue and green dye mixed together, goes a long way with clear resin, so you can't really mix a lot. So what I'll do is I'm going to stop the camera. We'll get the camera down a little bit lower so you can kind of see more of a side view. Okay, so here's the side view. It gives you guys a little bit of an idea of what's going on from the side. It looks really cool. I mean, it really gives you an idea that it's like a very oceany, you know, water. You can see the cool effects that kind of gave this here is what happens is I primed this. I basically painted this up in a green enamel paint, and then I painted over on this with rocks and the acrylic browns and all that stuff. So what happened is, because it created like a reaction, it almost created like moss in there, which kind of looks kind of cool. So I kind of like that, how it turned into that. But, you know, certain things, you know, like some of these bubbles in here, there's nothing much I could do about that. I mean, it's kind of a done deal. But it really came out pretty cool, you know. I mean, and this is kind of like a UV dye too. So in like UV light, this water will probably glow a little bit more, but I don't have a UV light, so you can't really see it. But this is what I got from Smooth On. It was just easier to go this route with it, so you can see how that worked out. Now, of course, you know, if you wanted to go like with waves and ripples, there is other company products out there, like, you know, AK Interactive, Woodland Scenic effects, that you can create like crazy ripples and like waves. So if you really wanted to go that route, you can. But other than that, this is what we came up with. So, like I said, really cool idea. Just very, very tricky. A lot more work. If it was in smaller scale, I think I could have done a way better job. But since this is a 1/4 scale, and this is almost like, I would say this is almost like 3 quarts of clear resin on top of this thing, it was a little tricky. There was one other thing that I ran into that was an issue. The base was sort of hollow, and I didn't really realize that. But the factory has a little bit of hollowness in there. Not really a lot, but enough that the base actually started to rise on top. So the way it works is, you put it in the pot. It should have been like, now that I know about it, maybe I could have put like, you know, lead weights in the bottom of it to keep it down. Pour in the clear resin, and then once I got all the bubbles out, that's when I pushed the feet into the base, because there's no way I could have got her in the pressure pot. I didn't want her next to all the resin pouring in case there was any splashes and stuff. So it was just one of those things that after it was done, I slowly put her into the base, and then I worked out all the bubbles around her feet. But like I said, we had a little bit of reaction because it took so long. But I mean, really cool idea, really great statue. It's definitely a one of a kind. Just a lot of work involved. So we'll kind of step back again real quick, look her over, and go from there. Okay, so here's a little bit more of a higher view for you guys. You can see what's going on. Really great statue, really great idea. It's just very tricky to pull this off, only because of the way things are working. Now, one of the other things too is, since she will never come out of the base, if she was to ever, you know, break down the line, years down the line or something, it's like a done deal. So you can't really do much to it once she's kind of embedded into the base like that. But let me know what you guys think. I do plan on working on some other clear item resin stuff down the line. I do have some personal project I'm working on with some clear water, but it's not going to be as advanced as this, only because you won't be seeing the size really. It's going to be kind of pouring into the item. So like I say, It's much easier to pour an item that's kind of like a bowl, because you could do layering, you could do faster setting resin, you can play with the items in there a little bit more, whereas seeing it from the side and top is very, very tricky. So like I said, I'm not sure if I'll be doing any more of this for the client. I'm not sure if he wants his other ones done like this, but you can pretty much get an idea of where you can take your statues. If you have an item out there and you wanted to add a little bit more of a clear resin, you could go out and pick up some clear resin, some dyes. You can add better different bases. If the character is water or ice, you know, you can do stuff like this if you really want to get involved. And even if you're just working on a garage kit or a personal custom statue and you want the, you know, person walking in water, if you want to create water, you know, there's tons of things, options out there. It's just a matter of being able to do your research, testing, and seeing what could come out of it. So let me know what you guys think. I had a lot of fun working on this. Also learned a lot about the hobby. Really opens up my you know, arsenal of being able to do new things and different things with different chemicals. Just gets sort of expensive, but you can make some really cool one-of-a-kind items out there that no one has. Really make your collection pop. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.